Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
Welcome. And, like I said, this is a game design podcast. We're at episode 180.
And this is like the beginning of the end of us not knowing anything about comedy.
It's true. Just to dig back into some behind-the-scenes kind of stuff, Trevor and I have signed up for an improv class, an online Zoom-based improv class, which is the only way we can do it because we live out in the sticks and all the good improv is in the fucking city. So, as of next episode, you'll see an all-new, all-powerful, improv-based Bitstorm.
And then hopefully it gets better over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, you'll see us grow in real time. But for right now,
especially if you're binging through it right now.
Yeah, don't skip this episode. But for right now, you do have to put up and sit through our non-trained professional voices doing improv. Trevor,
doing no buts.
Yeah, no but. Do you want to explain to our listening audience what we're about to play? We're going to start with Click Picture, as we have been doing for a little while.
Yes. So, a little while ago, Ben found a board panda list of funny random stock photos.
I'm pretty sure Facebook gave it to me as an ad, and being a fucking rube, I clicked on it.
Yep. Which is awesome because it gave us plenty of fodder to go through. We've been having fun. We sort of describe to you, the audience, what the picture is, and then we try to come up with a game design based off of that image.
Mm-hmm.
Wild and wacky results follow.
I'm going to paste it into our Discord, and we haven't seen it yet. We're going to describe to you. You're going to hear our reaction in real time. 3, 2, 1, here we go. So we have an androgynous looking person. I can't tell the gender, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Flamed head. Their head is covered in flames. Very Ghost Rider-esque.
Yep.
Holding a giant kitchen knife, like chef's knife, reaching out towards the camera. This sort of mouth open, screaming. For a second, I thought they had a weird lip ring, but I realized, no, that's part of the Shutterstock watermark.
So I like the idea of this is early Ghost Rider, before all the flesh is burnt off.
This is like the moment Ghost Rider's head first ignites. I don't know anything about Ghost Rider, but it's look, this is a horrific image. We could definitely go with some sort of horror game. Like, can you imagine if you turn around and suddenly, like, the person you're with, their head bursts into flames and they're attacking you with a knife?
Okay. This has given me some memories of the old Stephen King story Firestarter.
Mm-hmm.
The movie starred
young Drew Barrymore.
I'm thinking that you don't play the Firestarter, but you instead play a concerned father when your daughter starts being able to set people on fire and all that sort of stuff. So this is sort of like a massive sort of escort quest, but you're escorting your daughter who has a lot more sort of power. So it's all about making sure that she's not setting people on fire, that she's pretty calm.
No, I like this a lot. I mean, in video game parlance, it's definitely a big long escort quest, but I think you'd inject it with some emotional, cadence to it. Obviously, connection between the father and daughter, and and just like in the story, I never saw the movie, but I've read the book a few times. That fear of the daughter, but at the same time, obviously loving her and trying to protect her, and then trying to protect everyone around her by, training her and teaching her to control her powers.
Yeah.
That could be really cool. So I'm picturing sort of a mix between, or maybe a little bit of a Life is Strange sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Where you've got sort of little different sections of the game where you're free to roam about in different areas, and your daughter's generally following you around and with you, and you're sort of trying to get her. I don't know. Maybe are you being hunted by the government or by people who are trying to?
I think it's definitely by the government, but it's maybe a rogue government agency. Like, they didn't realize that one of their altered embryos actually made it out into the real world.
Yep.
And
so you set up a bit of backstory with. Oh, this is dark. You set up a bit of backstory with the father, and he and his wife were doing IVF, and they were successful, but during the labour there was a freak accident and she spontaneously combusted.
Maybe not. That's a little bit too dark.
You don't want the imagery of a woman just bursting into
from the
flames,
inside, no.
burning, and then turning to ash, and then all that's left is the baby that she birthed, and that's how the baby was born.
No. How about it was a normal birth, and the mother, left the family for some reason, and maybe comes back into the story later on as a member of this rogue government.
Maybe someone tells
agency.
the daughter as to try to frighten her into coming with them or submitting. That's what she did that to her own mother.
Yeah.
So then we can use that horrific imagery, but not actually have it be true.
Yeah. Yeah, because the imagery is good, but it also is not good.
It's not good, but yeah, it's powerful.
It's powerful.
Okay, so yeah, I'm kind of switching back and forth between adventure-y stuff and a bit of action-y stealth kind of third-person gameplay.
Yeah.
A bit more of that sort of stuff than would be in something like Life is Strange.
Yeah, sort of along those lines of...
a Last of Us kind of thing,
a
maybe.
Last of Us kind of action, but with Life is Strange sort of adventure-y stuff in between.
Yeah, and dialogue puzzles. And, or at least dialogue trees. And yeah.
Yeah. We like our dialogue trees.
Definitely. Dialogue vines. Dialogue... Those dialogue roots go deep.
So I suppose the question is, does his father actually know about the government agency and that his ex-wife works for them? Or is this something that, he's been kept in the dark about as well?
Oh, okay. I hadn't caught on to that bit, but that's a good twist. And that's how they got the embryo.
Yeah.
She was desperate, maybe, and didn't tell him. Okay.
That she...
Well, I think maybe he finds out over the course of the...
Yeah. That she is still
story,
alive, A, because he thought that she was dead. And B, she's actually part of this rogue government agency, and she's the one who's tracking them down. Not to hurt the daughter, but to actually... She sees it as getting the daughter back to her rightful side.
I think potentially she's even trying to protect the daughter in her own way. It's just... She's sort of trying to get her by force, and it's in that very authoritative way. She wants to control the daughter and keep her safe by keeping her locked up, basically, and monitored.
So I'm definitely seeing that, they're sending assassins out and all this sort of stuff. I'm picturing almost this scene that we've got with a lady with her hair on fire and all this sort of stuff, or the androgynous person with the hair on fire. Not to label this person, is a chef. So they're coming out, and they've been disguised as a chef, and they're out for dinner, and I can just imagine the chef coming out brandishing the knife, just trying to take out the
threaten the father or something to get the daughter.
Take out the husband to get the daughter. He sort of thinks that they're attacking her, but it turns out that they're always coming to attack him.
Yeah.
But of course she can sort of click her fingers and hair sets on fire and
Oh, totally. Well, and that's what I'm sort of picturing is you'll have these moments where it becomes like shit hits the fan and stuff just starts getting set on fire. And at that moment, you kind of move into a bit of an action-y stealth bit where it's like, okay, like you grab her hand and you're running, but like things are exploding around you because she's, doing her best to protect you.
I'm seeing that at this stage, her eyes just start glowing white. She's basically anywhere that she looks just sets on fire sort of thing. Almost a little bit of a Cyclops sort of thing that she can't quite control the power.
Control it. Yeah. I think definitely not being able to control it. You could do a really cool like shimmering sort of effect, like the heat shimmer just starts to like, fill the air around her, and
I kind of like the idea that the father grabs her hand at the start and starts running her through the streets, and then when you sort of get out of the stealth section, he has a look at his hand and it's all blistered.
Yeah, he has to like bandage it up. Yeah, that could be like an early set piece, and from that point on, you have to hunt down some like heat resistant gloves to wear.
Yeah, on the off chance that this actually happens. And I'm thinking that you can find some evidence of stuff that's actually happening in like old letters and that sort of stuff, as well as and I think maybe like overhear phone calls, or like maybe you connect up with someone who can help you out and who does some digging and finds files and sends them to you periodically, so that you're kind of getting some exposition as you go. I'm kind of picturing this now as like very much a game where you're on the run the whole time, like you're just going through these different environments. In fact, I like the idea of the first level, like the introduction, being just in your home, and look, we haven't told the player yet about the fact that this child can ignite things, is pyrokinetic, and so like you just see government agents start banging down the door, interrupting your otherwise normal, morning of a single dad and his daughter. And of course, then you get some exposition as things go on, and fairly soon run into the first situation where her powers come to the fore. That's really cool. I think you could. I'm just imagining what the final set piece is going to be like. Is basically they've decided to take on the government agency by having a full-on offensive.
Right.
He basically lets the daughter go wild in this room.
Yeah,
and,
well, it depends
she
how you
sets
want to
basically
do it.
The entire thing on fire.
Actually, what would be kind of cool is, instead of like, yes, maybe you do sort of go on the offensive, but you fail. Like you sort of go through this area, you're busting in through this government agency. She's just like blowing doors off of doors out of their frames, and you sort of find your way into the center of this place. But then someone like tases her and knocks you out, and you see them take your daughter, and you sort of watch her be taken away into this other room, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And then just suddenly that room just like explodes. There's just like this massive, like bigger than anything you've seen. It just bursts from the inside out with this fucking heat and flame. And she's just standing there in the center of all this rubble.
And these charred corpses.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And it's just like, Daddy, can we go home now? I'm tired. No, that's cool. We could do some really cool shit with that. All right. But we shall move on to our other game, which we'll play for most of the rest of this episode. And this is a game where we take a random phrase generator, in this case. So similar to the last game, but now with words and not pictures. So we each have a random phrase generator in front of us, and on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we'll get an adjective and a noun each, and we'll tell those to each other and you, the listening audience, and turn that into a game design. So let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click.
Atomic afternoon.
Store sticky. That's let's see how store is an adjective. This thing's weird sometimes. But anyway. Store sticky. Okay, what sort of store is sticky?
Well, is it store or is it
or are you storing something?
Are you storing something?
I mean, a store that is storing something sticky would be sticky. Also, often.
Okay. I'm sort of thinking that rather than atomic being atomic bomb, I'm thinking this is a store for selling, like, atoms themselves.
Singular atoms. Just got these display cases with electron microscopes. This is a gold atom.
I'm just thinking of the old Simpsons episode where they, get the magnifying glass and go, just as I thought, atoms. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 of them.
Yes. Maybe atomic is the name of the store. Maybe this is like a comic book store.
Okay. Yep.
I feel like you could do some fun kind of story stuff set in a comic book store. And Sticky is the name of a character.
Okay. Yep.
That's what they call this kid or this teenager, because he's always got sticky fingers and they're always like, don't touch that comics.
Yep.
You stick it, you bought it.
So it's the afternoon shift. I think you're a casual worker in this store. You don't necessarily own it.
Yeah, I think it's very much like a dialogue-driven sort of this lazy afternoon in this comic book store. You've got your regulars coming through, and you're maybe you're a casual worker who's just joined, and so that's why you're sort of being introduced to everyone, or you don't really know everyone yet. What's the drama that comes into this store?
I think at the end of the shift, you've got like a big celebrity in the like comic books industry who's coming in to like do a comic book signing or something like that.
Yep. I'm getting a very Kevin Smith vibe.
Well, I'm getting a very Empire Records vibe.
All right, yeah,
that's where I'm sort of taking it from.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of like the idea of that Empire Records or
like a Clerks-ish sort of situation where it's just all set in the store, and it's just you got these different things that happen throughout the day, and it's one of those like one of these days where just stuff's happening and it's interesting. It's not like amazingly out of the ordinary, except for this big exciting thing at the end of the day. But you've got problems to solve and people to talk to, and
you've got people looking for certain trade paperbacks, and you got other people who are trying to steal from the wall, and
and I think you do have these little sections where, and again in that very Kevin Smith-y way, I think you just have these great funny dialogue trees around comic book stuff and mundane things and the stuff that people talk about. You give it a little bit of branching. You can maybe have some tasks to do while this conversation is going on. Like you've just almost got mini games of like stock the shelves or, like turn around make sure all of the comic books are the right way up. But you could have little things in there. It's like, you pick up issue 3 of, Gatman, the man with the Gatling gun. And like that works its way into the conversation. Papa, Gatman. Okay. Well, do we want to like dig into the characters a bit even on this one? Should we sort of figure out what this scene is? You've got Sticky, who's sort of he's a regular, but he's sort of this pain in the butt of the people working there in a way.
He's almost like the J. Muse sort of character from Clerks.
Yeah, a little bit,
Hangs around outside, comes in, never actually buys anything.
Never buys anything, just browses the comics, and they always have to they've got like special plastic bags that they put them in to give to him to browse through.
So how old do you reckon Sticky is?
Like 14?
Yeah. I was
sort of the
thinking,
age I was going to, about the age where the source of the stickiness is unknown, but like
concerning.
Hope it's not, but concerning, exactly.
Okay, so
is he always got does he always have like a chopper chop in his mouth or something? Maybe
I think
that's
so.
sort of the where the stickiness comes from, or at least you assume as such.
You assume that it does, and you don't want to think any deeper into it.
No, and you don't let him in the back room.
Yep. Okay, so Sticky is definitely your typical sort of customer that's in all the time. Yeah. He never disappears, but you got to keep your eye on him.
So I think you've got the store owner.
Yep.
Who I'm thinking is like maybe a 50-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Like that kind of around in like the Silver Age. Grew up with the Silver Age. Well, no, because 50 she would have been in the like 70s to 80s. Yeah, so that's probably like Silver Age, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
Golden Age is definitely a lot earlier, so.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. Silver Age. Oh, no, Silver Age is a bit early. So Bronze Age, maybe, but Bronze Age began in the early 1970s and then to 84. So, yeah, so sort of Bronze Age is what she grew up with. But, you know, she's obviously, it's become a big part of her life. And I feel like she's one of these women who's just like lived a lot. And maybe did actually like move away from comic books for a while, and then rediscover them at like 35 or whatever. And now for the past 15 years, she's owned this comic book store.
Yep.
What's her name?
Amy.
Amy? Sure.
Yep.
And is her her nickname is Amy Atomic, and that's why it's Atomic Comics. Atomic Comics. That's a cool I like the phrasing there.
Yeah, it'd be cool if her last name was Tomic.
Oh, it was Tomic,
Atomic.
like Amy Tomic. Yeah, Atomic. That's cool. Yeah. Yep.
I kind of like the fact that she did get married, but this is she kept her maiden name. Like, and when she got married, it was kind of unusual for her to sort of keep her name. It was sort of expected of her to go to her husband's name, but she didn't like the idea of Amy Smith.
I think she got married relatively early in life. Kept her name, and it was not really done. Divorced the husband after a few years. Realized she was bisexual. Has had a variety of relationships with men and women, but never settled down again.
Yeah.
Because then we can have some, like, romance subplots or something with her and some other character.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got Amy Atomic, the owner. We've got Sticky Fingers, Sticky, who is there like a manager or like a long-time employee I think you need?
Yeah.
Who's maybe a little bit abrasive, like he's kind of the
disgruntled
traditional,
sort of.
well, like very traditional comic book gatekeeping sort of asshole a bit. Where
kind of like your Walt Flanagan sort of from Comic Book Man.
Yeah. Where it's like, oh, you don't know this or whatever. It's like very traditional around what counts as a true comic book. Now,
are we using real comics or are we creating all our own?
I think it's fun if we create our own, but obviously very much reference real ones.
Oh, yeah.
Because then we can really play with it. What are you thinking?
I'm just imagining like all the different customers, like the little old lady who's just coming in to buy a comic for her grandson and all this sort of stuff, and the little old lady comes in and the manager's just going, "What does he like?" It's like, well, I think he'd like something along the lines of, Tachi instead of
Tachi. Yeah.
And he goes,
I read Tachi when I was a child. I'm sure he would love it.
Oh, it's just like, you don't know anything, lady. Kids today, they like, and he goes off on all these different sort of comics, and it's all like super inappropriate for
all right, stuff. I guess I'll take some hentai then, if you recommend it. If you say you like it. And Sticky's ears prick up. He's just like, oh, yeah, definitely good call.
I'm just imagining that, like, you've got, like, the sort of character who doesn't want to be there. He's just working, and he won't look at what anyone's buying. He just sells it to them instantly. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like basically Randall selling cigarettes to the 4-year-old or whatever, like that sort of deal. Yeah, he just sits there, reads comics all day, and just when someone comes to the counter, just like rings them up without even looking.
Yeah,
they're trying to talk to him, he just like grunts.
So I'm imagining, these young kids, or even just the grandmother going over and going, "This hentai looks rather interesting."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, done, sold. Don't even tell them that
$10.99. And then I think you've got like the like mid-20s woman who's like a super collector. Like she's trying to like really. There's maybe a certain comic book series that she's trying to get mint copies of every issue or something. And so whenever anyone comes in with an issue of fucking Bug Boy,
it's really hard coming up with a character on the fly.
On the fly. On the fly, Bug Boy. That's actually the name of issue 2, which is really rare to find in mint condition, is Bug Boy on the fly. Anytime anyone comes in with an issue of Bug Boy, she's like, looking it over, and it's like really critical of the creases in it and stuff. But otherwise, I think is a pretty nice person, and in general, runs the place, helps the place go pretty well. And then I think you play like a bit of a cipher in that, like, you can do some character creation and play whatever sort of character you like. I think a very robust costume editor kind of thing, or clothes editor, where you can really set your style. And yeah, for the most part, your character doesn't have a ton of personality, but you're sort of just pushing the story forward a bit and making some decisions and mostly listening to the funny conversations.
Yeah, I like it.
We'll definitely be able to get Patton Oswalt to voice one of the characters. I reckon Jane Lynch for the owner, for Amy. Who do you reckon Patton Oswalt is the
little old lady? Yeah, I think exactly. Like, it's the role that he was made for.
Definitely, sure. That's where I was going with that. Yeah, absolutely. You read my mind.
I think you need to get a Brian O'Halloran or a Jeff Anderson in there somewhere. Just as
forget fucking Kevin in. Get Kevin Smith in.
Kevin plays Sticky.
Kevin plays Sticky. Kevin can play the guy who he's uncredited, but he plays the guy who doesn't say anything and just rings everyone up. So we just get him to do a bunch of like mumbling and grunts. And it's an homage to Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Love it.
Silent Mike. All right. 3 to 1 click.
Yeah. I really want to fucking play that game though. Bigoted death.
Maine knock.
Maine, like the state in America.
You could add an E onto the end of the MAIN.
Maine knock, bigoted death.
You remember the Darksiders games, how they were, about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse?
Yeah.
I'm kind of liking the idea that you're playing Death, the character of Death.
Oh, yep.
And
Yep.
And you're literally going through and
knocking on doors.
Well, it's you're knocking off the bigoted individuals in the world. You've had enough of all the
you're going rogue.
Yeah, you've had enough of all the bullshit of all the really nice people who, just trying to get by getting cancer and dying. Mm-hmm. And you decide, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to take out all the bigoted individuals and basically let all the nice people live.
So you get this situation where, so here's an interesting thing. If someone's dying of cancer and death doesn't take them, are they healed or are they just in constant pain without dying?
I think it's that thing where you realize that, hang on, these people really they're in a lot of pain. They're not being helped at all. Like, the drugs are barely helping now. Maybe you realize, hang on, death is actually a good thing. It's a good release from this.
Yeah,
hell.
well, that's okay. So death still lets them have their peace.
Yeah, but the majority of the time, he's like, okay, can I actually make this person somewhat better by, slicing out the lungs of this bigoted individual and giving?
Oh God! Okay, so it's literally like harvesting organs
in VR.
In VR. So this is
you're
a
running
game.
around with your scythe.
So this is a game where you're running around with a scythe, tracking down the people shouting racial slurs, and cutting out their lungs. I mean, I think that says it all, and we can probably move on. 3, 2, 1, click. Consulting cloud.
Interactive, heavy.
Heavy?
Heavy.
Oh, okay. Well, cloud and heavy is interesting because there's a sort of an interaction there between whether you can like stay up on the cloud, perhaps. Consulting and cloud definitely gave me some sort of like, maybe like whether it's a heaven-based agency or just other sort of kind of spiritual being of some sort up in the clouds.
I do like the idea of, heaven literally existing on clouds. But this is like early on in heaven's being, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And for some reason, the clouds have got incredibly heavy, so heaven has actually descended down with the fog.
Okay.
And so you've got these things of heaven seems to be interacting with the environment because it's too close to the actual, too close to the human environment.
Yeah, well, basically, like, in the middle of Heaven City, heaven, a giant fucking mountain peak is busted through because this cloud sunk too low.
Well, I'm picturing it in like, yes, there's a mountain peak, but if you go off to a different sort of area, then you see skyscrapers and stuff like poking through.
I think you'd have to just determine the story. Like, is this something that is happening and you're trying to stop it? Is it something that has already happened and like now you're trying to figure out why, or like interacting now with the denizens of like the denizens of heaven and earth are interacting as well. I kind of like the general idea, even without the event itself, but starting with the status quo of, oh yeah, like 57 years ago, the clouds got heavy, heaven sunk to the ground, and now it's just another city on earth, basically. Like, you can just go to heaven.
And the weird
on a
thing
train.
is, when you die, you don't go to heaven. Like, heaven has been there for a long time, but they don't quite know why it's there. Like, the people that work there are trying to make things, good for people's afterlives. But they don't appear in the heaven city when they die.
Did they used to?
I think not.
Okay.
I think that, like...
So heaven's been up there this whole time, but they don't have any visitors. Like, nobody's showing up.
I think basically the whole idea about heaven was sort of like a ploy by... it was a human creation.
Yeah.
And so it was brought into being by a whole heap of people believing in it.
Okay.
And so
it's still spiritual in that sense.
It's still spiritual in that sense, but it only exists because people believe in it.
Right. So has it sunk because less people are believing in it, or...
I think because people have sort of twisted the original word of what heaven really should be. It got too big for its own good.
Okay. Or it could... Right.
And when you think about that, it also means that hell also exists somewhere on this earth.
I like the idea of later in the game, a new island appears out in the ocean, and it's fucking hell that's just like floated up from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's sort of the other side of that, but that happens across the course of the game.
Yep. And again, when you do actually see this place, again, it's only like the effectively angels or the demons.
Yeah, the demons are running it.
There's no people there, and it's like.
So is your goal? So is the end game finding out where the people actually go, or realizing that there's actually no afterlife? Like, there is an afterlife in that these places exist, but no, when you die, you just die.
When you die, we don't know where you go. Is effectively what it is. It's like this afterlife has been created by your mind.
It's kind of been conjured by. So yes, the mind is incredibly powerful and can, if enough people believe something, it can be conjured in this way. But it's only while you're alive that, like, it's only the fact that you did this that you thought of this while you were alive that this place exists. Once you're dead, we still don't know. Like, we can't change that with.
We don't know. We're
magical thinking.
We're mortals.
It may be that humans brought us into existence, but like, we don't know where we go when we die.
I like the idea that these angels, they have wings and all this sort of stuff, but they're literally mortal. They live for many more years than what.
Can they fly?
I think that they've sort of atrophied because they don't use their wings that much. So they're just like their wings that are on the back, and it's like, yeah, they don't. I haven't used it in 500 years. I
definitely love this idea that heaven is just, ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth.
I was wondering where you were going with it, and then you got about a quarter of the way through, and I'm like, oh, I know what this is.
That heaven is just a city on earth, and so the angels have sort of started, they make trips out and into the, regular cities around the world, and maybe some have even decided to, like, move to LA to become actors, or whatever, try their hand at fame and fortune. And so, it's just become relatively normal that people with wings and who are always incredibly attractive.
Okay, so who do you actually play?
Through life. So consulting could be a few things. Do you play like a private detective, which is sort of the classic kind of outsider, but like learning about the world, or like investigating the world sort of thing? Whether you play an angel detective, like someone who was
I like
in heaven,
the idea of like a fallen angel,
or a team up, or
okay. You play a fallen angel who is now a detective, and your name isn't actually mentioned throughout the whole thing.
Okay,
until finally you find out that you are actually playing Lucifer,
right?
But obviously he's a relatively good guy. It's just that because a whole heap of people believed that he turned and became, evil. He
I guess it depends.
Cast out of heaven, but he never actually joined hell because.
All right, he's not a PR. He's not a PI though. He's a PR guy. He's an ad guy. And the reason he did that is because the whole reason he got thrown out was because of like bad spin. He didn't do anything. It was just the rumors going around and the marketing. So he's like, well, fuck you. I can do that too.
Yeah.
And so, he's just like, he runs this boutique ad agency. He actually hasn't had a lot of success. But, he makes enough to get by.
So does he wear like one of the big trench coats that has I was
going to say, was he here then before heaven came, like descended?
Yes.
So he's been here for like 1,000 years.
Yeah. He fell. And to fall from heaven basically meant that he landed on Earth. It wasn't the fact that he fell to hell, but then later on, people started believing in a hell, and so that came to be.
That came to be as well.
The whole thing was that he never dropped any
He
further.
never ran hell. He's never been to hell.
No.
He's heard about it. He knows people who have been there on holiday.
And what I'm saying to almost imagine is everyone who's in heaven has like almost like a Dark Crystal-esque two sides of the same being. That, say you got the Archangel Michael in heaven, well, you've got he's also got an alternate person in hell that is...
Mikey.
Yeah, but they're actually connected. So if one gets killed, the other one just disappears. Kind of like in the Dark Crystal, how you had the Skeksis and the other...
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they're actually the same being, but they've sort of been split.
Okay. We're bringing a lot of elements into this.
I know, but I like
fine.
the idea that the reason why people think that Lucifer has been looking after hell and all that sort of stuff is because there is actually...
Oh, his counterpart. Okay.
Like, maybe he's Morningstar and Lucifer is actually in hell.
Yeah, evening comet.
I know that there's a lot of stuff that we're bringing in, but it's fun.
Well, okay, so let's. I like the general world building.
Yep. Gameplay.
Let's kind of bring it down to what would the gameplay actually be? What are you doing moment to moment? How do you sort of present these ideas to the player, you know?
So I think the first thing that you do is you show the ad campaign for Heaven.
Right, like the tourism campaign?
Yeah, the tourism campaign. It's like it's heaven on earth.
All right, so Lucifer has snagged the lucrative Heaven tourism campaign.
Uh-huh.
Has Heaven been kind of standoffish to this point where they mostly haven't been letting people in?
Yeah, but then they realised that no one has ever actually been to heaven, and no one seems to actually make it there when they die. So they decide, well, we've got all these people working there. Let's actually try to bring some people in so that people can actually enjoy heaven on earth.
Yeah, yeah. We've got all these amazing like spa
rides and
rides. Is that?
It's a huge fucking Disneyland.
I love that. That's where your mind went. So you've heard it here first, everyone. Trevor's idea of the afterlife is just the roller coasters.
Fuck yeah. They never break down and there's no lines.
They never break down, there's no lines, and the vomit always goes away from the people on the ground.
What are you talking about?
Vomit.
There is no vomit. You can eat all you want.
Still vomit. That's part of the fun. But it tastes like cotton candy and...
Doesn't look like it, though.
No, it looks the same. Can't do everything. Like God, we're not fucking omnipotent. Okay, so you've snagged the campaign. So is the opening scene like someone pitching ideas to you for this campaign? Maybe one of your employees. Yeah,
I'm seeing that it's like you see, the typical representation of heaven on this photo or something like that, and then they sort of back out and it's a picture on like an easel.
Yeah,
and
like on one of the card,
they're
like
talking
card
about,
stock.
Come see heaven on earth. 50 years ago, it descended from the skies, and now it's available for you to go.
Now it's open to the public for the first time.
And it's like the idea that it's all these clouds and all this sort of stuff, and you see maybe it goes out a little bit further, and it's just like this huge theme park. There's some clouds on the ground, but it's almost like a dry ice sort of effect. But
well, I think Disneyland is the right kind of sense in that it is a city, really. Like,
yeah,
you can see that it's a city. There are skyscrapers and stuff, but yeah, there are fucking roller coasters like going between buildings and
yes,
all this like crazy over the top stuff. I kind of like the idea though that when they show that, and Lucifer's like, wait, heaven has roller coasters? And the guy's like, oh, well, we added that in for a bit of flavor. Like, I thought it was a great idea. They should really add those in. But it's actually just a city. Like, when you get there, yeah, like, it's pretty heavenly. And like, overall, it's always very clean, and they've got all this, like, stuff in place and sort of heaven magic kind of ideas. But it's still just a city where people live.
So do they not know that you're Lucifer at this stage? I like the idea that he's kind of, because he got kicked out of there, he's not wanting to actually put it out there that he's their fallen brother.
Well, do we do the classic thing that he's cut off his wings or whatever?
Yeah, I kind of like that idea that, he's always wearing the, a trench coat sort of thing, covering up like the bumps that would be on his back still.
Mm.
And these other angels are in there with all their majestic wings, and he makes mention of, so why do you guys like catch limos everywhere? And they go, oh, these are just for decoration. We haven't used them in 500 years or whatever.
Yeah, there was news that one angel had managed to fly with his wings, but like it was a hoax.
It was 5 centimeters above the ground. That's not flying. That's hovering.
Yeah, we can occasionally glide. If we fall, we probably might. We might be able to just break our legs and not die.
Yeah. And then. So I'm liking the idea that you can get a little bit of backstory here where... I think I do like that as exposition, like bringing in the marketing campaign. That works really well. So I'm imagining Lucifer's going, okay, so all the people, wouldn't this place already be full of people? I mean, it's the afterlife. And he goes, oh, no, nothing like that. Like, turns out that we don't know where people go when they die. But
yeah,
heaven exists on Earth.
Yeah, it turns out like heaven's been here for at least a few thousand years, like as far as I can recall. But no humans have ever shown up. So this is actually, when we descended, like it was actually kind of cool. We got to meet these mythical humans that we don't know much about,
and just. I can imagine, everyone just believes that this exists and is like, okay, well, we've got this great advertising campaign and you can work through these different things while throughout the story, hell is starting to come on Earth, and you're starting to hear stories about like people being freaked out by demons and stuff that were previously stories that are kind of happening as well. I like the idea that maybe hell comes to you to try and they love what you did with heaven, and they want to get in on the.
And you're like, oh shit, is this a conflict of interest, or are we just like, or is this just mean where?
But the person that you meet is like, literally your exact. It looks
like
exactly
they just look like you, but they have a goatee.
They have a goatee and bat wings.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. No, bat demon. Yeah. Okay. I'm still not sure exactly where the game is, but I do really like the world building of that.
Okay, so gameplay. I'm sort of not to go down like a typical adventure sort of way. I'm thinking this almost more sort of a 3D platformy sort of thing with exposition.
Okay.
So you're going around trying to find within heaven and that sort of stuff. You're trying to find, the perfect shots to actually show off in this advertising campaign and that sort of stuff. And you're learning more about, it's almost like a walking simulator sort of thing as well, that you're learning some exposition about the, about heaven and where it came from. And
so like a bit of Firewatch-ish sort of thing where
Firewatch-ish
where you're walking, but you've got sort of some like climbing and jumping elements almost or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of, you almost got anywhere that you want to go, you can sort of go, almost like a Zelda sort of thing.
Right.
But your whole idea is that, there's no combat whatsoever. It's sort of more around, okay, what would be the best sort of image for selling heaven on Earth. And
yeah, look, I do like the idea of going broad like that, and then using that opportunity. Like if you could do sort of this open, semi-open world or open world, where in a very Elder Scrolls kind of way, you can just come across little elements of the world that kind of introduce you to some characters, and they've got a problem, and you can help to solve it, and then you know sort of just a little bit more about this world. But it's basically a side quest,
Yeah. I mean,
the whole
quest
game could be very RPG-ish, actually, in a sense. Not combat-based, obviously, but, with some dialogue or crafting or, I don't know. You could add some of that stuff in there if you wanted to.
It's like the advertising RPG. You're upgrading your camera. You're upgrading, all the
you
other
level
things.
up your graphic design, yeah.
Yep. look, I found a new font in this dungeon.
Those are the collectible fonts. The collectibles are fonts, yes. Fuck, yeah. Okay, now I'm all in on this. Now it's basically like RPG tropes.
Fonts and templates.
In this fucking world where heaven is on earth and soon hell comes and you play Lucifer and you're a fucking...
Basically, you're looking for pamphlet designs. And, obviously the best pamphlet designs are, funnily enough, found in hell. So when you actually get to hell, you find the best pamphlet designs because they're all about selling dodgy material and all this sort of stuff. And, sex sells.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're getting at. Yeah, I like that. I feel like we found the game there at the end. So that's good.
It took us a while, but
I'm happy with that.
I like the idea of just subverting expectations with afterlives and that.
Well,
sort
look,
of stuff.
I don't think there's ever been an advertising RPG, so mission accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think should we move on to our final click picture?
Yes, we can.
Let's move on to our final click picture. So, Trevor, do you want to paste your image into our Discord? Here it comes.
Okay, so it's a game set at Halloween. We know that because we have a stew inside of a carved pumpkin.
Mm-hmm. In a pumpkin field. There's lots of steam coming off the stew. Yeah.
In the background, I see lots and lots of pumpkins. There's a wagon off to the side. Oh yeah, and there's a big snake, but this snake has the head of a cat.
The head and fur of a cat.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, do you play this cat, or is the cat like one of the enemies that you're fighting?
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of enemies that sort of purr and slither.
Hybrid enemies. Yeah, it's like, oh, if you hear purring, stay back. Those venomous cat snakes are about.
Cool. But like, I'm just imagining sort of like the horror aspects that you could have in this sort of game. The idea that the cat snake or snakat.
Yeah, I feel like there was a pun there. I'm literally looking up types of snakes, but I think I'm not sure. There is a thing called a cat snake. Let's not worry too much on that.
No.
So, okay. So are these, like, is this just one type of enemy and they're all sort of different, like hybrids?
I think this is almost like a Island of Dr. Moreau sort of thing where he couldn't find any human test subjects, but there were lots and lots of animals that he could splice together.
All right. I kind of want this to be like a roguelike, like a bit more of an action-y roguelike.
Yep.
Because we haven't done that sort of thing in a while, and I feel like this sort of enemy would lend itself to that reasonably well. Is there in the gameplay? Is there any sort of like hybridization, blending of animals that you yourself do? Are you fighting fire with fire in this case? Is part of the game finding different types of animals and then splicing them together magically to fight off the?
I think maybe. What you're doing is you're splicing like animal DNA into your own DNA to get sort of like the powers that you quite often get in a roguelike or whatever, just to unlock new parts of the area. So
okay.
I don't know, I'm sort of seeing this almost like a Metroidvania, Dead Cells sort of thing where you're sort of going down a certain path, you unlock like a new gene to splice into your own stuff to get some sort of prehensile tail or something like that helps you.
I guess my problem there is, do you have to use the same sort of DNA things to get to unlock the certain areas of the level every time, or are we able to, if we're able to do it in the more traditional roguelike way where it's that these things stack, that as you unlock more and more things, you got synergy between the different things, and So how, like, from a...
Well,
from
I
a
was sort of seeing it almost like a Dead Cells sort of thing, where there's certain areas of the map that you can't get to, but it's all very randomized.
Yeah.
You know, in order to get up to this one area, you need to be able to, you know, climb up the vine sort of thing.
Yeah. So you need monkey DNA.
Yeah, you need monkey DNA for that. And then to slither on the ground like a snake to get through this small area, you need the snake DNA. Or the snake cat.
The snake cat. Yeah, well, I think... Okay. All right. I think I'm on board with splicing the things. Is it that you can have a certain amount? Is it that these DNA affect certain, like, do you have sort of certain slots? Then, well, there's like a movement one, there's like an attack, like a weapon one, there's a defensive one or something that if you use the different, because actually that could be a good way to mix and match. Like, if you use the snakes in your attack slot, then you get fucking venom or whatever, right? Like it applies venom to your attacks. If you put it in your movement slot, then you can slide through smaller gaps.
But the problem is that you lose limbs.
Yeah, then you need to... Actually, that's not bad, because then your attacks are limited to certain things. So you need to synergize with other genes from other animals. So, like, if you fucking put gorilla DNA in your attack slot, but you've got snake in your movement slot, then when you constrict them, they just like fucking explode like a grape.
Oh, fuck yeah!
Because of the strength. Whereas if you go the snake cat, if you go the snake cat route, then it's not a great combination. You can bite. You've got teeth.
But you're also very cuddly.
But you're very cuddly.
And as you're going across the ground, you know, you're sort of having to stop every now and again and lick yourself clean.
Yeah, just along the whole length of your snake body. I'm just picturing the fucking cat in that. You know how cats put their legs straight up over their head to like lick all the way out their leg? It's that, but their leg is their whole body.
I mean, literally, we're seeing hoop snakes right now. Like, that's where I reckon it goes to.
I'm pretty sure this is the second time we've mentioned hoop snakes in 2 episodes, and the second time we've had a cat-based final click picture.
I love it, though.
No, I think that's cool. I like having the different sort of slots that you can put genes in, and then you've got sort of a procedurally animated avatar then, like character, based on, you put horse, you put horse DNA in the movement thing, all right, you're now basically a centaur. But if you put it in the attack one, then I don't know how do horses attack? Biting. You get a horse face.
Wide, long face. Yep.
Yeah.
Second time I've used that joke. I'm just trying to see whether there's some weird sort of combinations that you can get that totally like fuck up, like they're incompatible and they melt you, sort of thing.
Okay.
Almost as if, you know, you got to be very careful. Okay, this DNA and this DNA cannot go together.
All right,
you can't have
and that can be DNA something you learn throughout, like your different runs as well. So the first time you do something you don't know, and you get some weird fucked up
Sharktopus. Yeah, that works really, really well. But shark and horse, that really doesn't work because
octopus DNA is awesome. It works particularly well in the movement and the defense slots, but not really in the attack.
Although ink is pretty fun to play with.
That's what I mean. That's in the defense.
But it's also in the attack.
It's also in the attack. Well, again, maybe you can maybe you can get a hybrid thing. Like you can put multiple types of DNA in one slot, and then you get like combination of both, so then you get like venomous ink. I don't know, that's maybe going a bit far.
It depends on how our system actually works to put them together.
Yeah,
well, not ours, but the developer's system that they created, that was absolutely amazing.
Our imaginary system that's machine learning and procedurally animated and all that good amazing stuff.
Yes, cool.
All right. Well, look, that was fun. I think we'll end it there tonight. Thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find us online, you can go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm. All of our episodes are up there. Leave us a review. Let us know what you thought. We'll reply to you because you can do that. See our other episodes that we've been on. Trevor was just on a couple of episodes of Comedy Rewind over the past few weeks, so click on his creator profile and go through to those. Mm-hmm. And speaking of Comedy Rewind, they and we, that's not grammar. Anyway, we're both part of the 8-Bit Collective, and this is a group of podcasts about pop culture, video games, a variety of other things. They've just launched a game show. There's actual play, role-playing, all sorts of great stuff. Go to 8bit.net. Definitely check out some of those shows. And also go to their Patreon. Go check out the 8-Bit Patreon. Throw some dollars towards the collective.
Okay, do you like video games? Do you like podcasts? If you answered yes to both of those questions, go check out the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. It's a group of, it's a network of Australasian gaming podcasts. So, go check out the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook or at AGP Network on Twitter. Finally, we'd like to thank Kuridas for the use of the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
That's right. So, thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
Ooh, baby, do you know what? Ooh, heaven is a place on.